Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's afternoon devotional and Bible study. Today, we'll be reading through Numbers chapter 35, reading about the towns of the Levites, or for the Levites, and the cities of refuge. And today, I'm changing things up a little bit. I'm back on my phone, filming here in the prayer room in the door. And if you want to spend some time here, let me know if you're in town. And two, I'm going to be reading out of one of the Bibles that I'd probably pass on to you if you wanted a physical Bible. Like I said, I'm more than happy. I have a stack, a bunch of them. This one was provided to me from the Gideons to pass forward to whomever. This is one of the really nice ones. I really like this one. It's also a New Living Translation, which is nice. And I always personally like reading out of the physical Bible. The biggest difference between this one and my personal Bible is the cover. And this doesn't have the parts highlighted in blue in the Old Testament. But other than that, the words are all the same. And this is a really, really good Bible. I like it. I can read it. I just thought I'd read out of this one today here in the prayer room. So hopefully everything sounds good. And today also, I do have the comments in such a way that I can see them. I missed a bunch of comments the other day with how I was set up. So I kind of went back to this format, at least for today. So sorry for missing all the comments, Matt. Happy that you could participate. But yeah, so with further ado, reminder that we're reading Numbers chapter 35. And where we are now in the story is essentially the Israelites. They have left Egypt. They've traveled for 40 days. They've fought a bunch of battles. They've been, getting a bunch of land, and now they're starting to occupy the land and claim the land for themselves. So yesterday they set up the boundaries on what the promised land is going to be, and Moses, who still has some authority, but the new authority structure is being set up, and it seems like it's a little bit of a okay, they're going to learn directly under Moses type deal. For the time being, but they're kind of establishing everything. Moses has got everyone together, been like, here's the plan, you guys get this land, you guys get that land, and now we're gonna look at the towns for the Levites, because they were left out of all the divisions of, the tribe of Judah is gonna get this land, and like the tribe of Benjamin, you guys are gonna get that land, and then the tribe of Naphtali, you guys are going to get that land, but the Levites were left out. So that is why we're gonna find out what happens to them. What happens to them? Let's find out. So without further ado, now I did not bring my coffee into the room. Without further ado, now we're going to read Numbers chapter 35. So the towns for the Levites. While Israel was camped beside the Jordan on the plains of Moab, across from Jericho, the Lord said to Moses, "Command the people of Israel to give to the Levites from their property certain towns to live in, along with the surrounding pasture lands. These towns will be for the Levites to live in, and the surrounding lands will provide pasture for their cattle, flock, and other livestock. The pasture lands assigned to the Levites around these towns will extend 1,500 feet from the town walls in every direction, measuring off 3,000 feet outside the town walls in every direction, east, south, west, and north, with the town at the center. This area will serve as the larger pasture land for the towns. 6 of the towns you give the Levites will be cities of refuge, where a person who has accidentally killed someone can flee to for safety. In addition, give them 42 other towns. In all, 48 towns with the surrounding pasture land will be given to the Levites. These towns will come from the property of the people of Israel. The larger tribes will give more towns to the Levites, while the smaller tribes will give fewer. Each tribe will give property in proportion to the size of its land. Cities of refuge. The Lord said to Moses, "Give the following instructions to the people of Israel. When you cross the Jordan into the land of Canaan, designated cities of refuge to which people can flee if they have killed someone accidentally. These cities will be places of protection from a dead person's relatives who want to avenge the death. The slayer must not be put to death before being tried by the community. Designate 6 cities of refuge for yourselves, 3 on the east side of the Jordan River, and 3 on the west in the land of Canaan. These cities are for the protection of Israelites, foreigners living among you, and traveling merchants. Anyone who accidentally kills someone may flee there for safety. But if someone strikes and kills another person with a piece of iron, it is murder, and the murderer must be executed. Or if someone with a stone in his hand strikes and kills another person, it is murder, and the murderer must be put to death. Or if someone strikes and kills another person with a wooden object, it is murder, and the murderer must be put to death. The victim's nearest relative is responsible for putting the murderer to death. When they meet, the avenger must put the murderer to death. So, if someone hates another person and waits in ambush, then pushes him or throws something at him as he dies, it is murder. If someone hates another person and hits him with a fist and he dies, it is murder. In such cases, the avenger must put the murderer to death when they meet. But suppose someone pushes another person without having shown previous hostility, or throws something that unintentionally hits another person, or accidentally drops a huge stone on someone though they were not enemies, and a person dies. If this should happen, the community must follow these regulations in making a judgment between the slayer and the avenger. The victim's nearest relative, the community must protect the slayer from the avenger and must escort the slayer back to live in the city of refuge to which he fled. There he must remain until the death of the high priest who was anointed with sacred oil. But if the slayer ever leaves the limits of the city of refuge and the avenger finds him outside the city and kills him, it will not be considered murder. The slayer should have stayed inside the city of refuge until the death of the high priest. But after the death of the high priest, the slayer may return to his own property. These are the legal requirements for you to observe from generation to generation, wherever you may live. All murderers must be put to death, but only if evidence is presented by more than one witness. No one may be put to death on the testimony of only one witness. Also, you must never accept a ransom payment for the life of someone judged guilty of murder and subject to execution. Murderers must always be put to death, and never accept a ransom payment from someone who has fled to a city of refuge. Allowing a slayer to return to his property before the death of the high priest. This will ensure that the land where you live will not be polluted, for the murderers of pollutes the land. And no sacrifice except the execution of the murderer can purify the land from the murderer. You must not defile the land where you live, for I live there myself. I am the Lord who lives among the people of Israel. May God add a blessing to the reading of Numbers chapter 35. So there's a couple interesting things in here for sure. So one, we have the lands that are established. So the Levites don't have like a land to call their own. Hey, Jesse, welcome. The Levites don't have a land to call their own, right? They are living kind of amongst the people, which is very fitting. They've been the ones in charge of all the priestly duties, and it's ensuring that, like, you know, there is that presence of the Levites everywhere, the ones that have been with the covenant, the ones that have been closest to God through this time. And it's through the Levites that the priests are kind of established, right? So there's essentially this town of church and protection that's going to be all over the place, kind of sprinkled throughout all the different tribes. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and that, you know, the land is kind of given to them by the other tribes. And it's like, okay, yeah, sure, you can have this part. It sounds like they're giving them pretty good land. Then the other big thing is the cities of refuge. And I think that's a very interesting thing. There's this song called, you know, God's the strong tower and the righteous can run into it and be saved. And yeah, there are times when accidental death happens. The one that was most gruesome from the ones that we were reading, suppose someone drops a large rock on someone. Like, hard to imagine now, but yeah, like if they were building things, moving something, a boulder starts rolling down and it crushes someone, like that would be absolutely devastating. And it's hard to imagine that happening without malice and a trap, right? But things like that can happen. And so God establishes these safe houses to protect people. And the Jewish law and everything at the time was an eye for an eye, right? So, you know, whatever you put into the world is going to be what's expected to come back. So if you murder someone intentionally, then, you know, the law would say that, cool, that's what you put out, that's what you're going to receive. And it was a very intense way of maintaining structure and law and stability. And, you know, Jesus kind of came afterwards and gave us a new set of rules. Not a new set of rules, but like a higher set of rules, where forgiveness is at the forefront of those. So, yeah, we got that going on. And that idea that, yes, this horrific thing, this really sad thing can happen, but it is, you know, an accident. We're going to honor the fact that, you know, it was an accident. We're going to protect those people. And the other thing too is that they're going to serve trial to make sure that they are safe. So it's not one of those things where, oh, okay, this happened and then we're going to protect them. There's a judge, right? They're going to see what it is that's going on, and, you know, they're going to actually have a fair trial when these things happen. I can imagine accidentally killing someone, and then having someone feel like they have the right to kill me because of the accident that happened. And, you know, the other big thing that this talks against is do not accept bribes. Do not falsify your witness. Which is another really big, huge thing. So, that's kind of it for today. So what are the big things to remember? What are the big takeaways from this? Accidents happen. Straight up, accidents happen. That's something that we can remember. 2, even though someone might be really, really angry at someone, doesn't mean that they're in the right. Doesn't mean that they have that whole picture. And be a place of refuge for someone that has made a really big accident is an important thing, and that's something that we can do and be a part of and offer to others. And thirdly, don't accept bribes. Don't be misled and lured away from the truth by money and other desires that you have. Once again, like God, we worship God in spirit and in truth. So when we act in such a way that is not truthful, we're not really honoring God and we're not really worshiping God. To worship God in honesty and in truth. So if we willingly accept a bribe to turn the other cheek, to deny the truth, then we are sinning, right? And that's what's called out here. So, big takeaways. People make mistakes. Be willing to listen to people. Don't become judge, jury, and executioner. Literally. And, don't compromise your morals are the big things that I'm getting from this, besides all the historical things. Jesus thing, something that would probably be highlighted in blue if I use my personal Bible, is, Jesus is that ultimate final sacrifice, where he did not murder anyone, but he stepped in the place for all us sinners. So that's, I guess, that other big, massive takeaway. So for now, let's pray. AJC, awesome Jesus Christ, thank you for this. Thank you that we could be on here. Thank you for Jesse and whomever is going to pop in at any point in time, whether here on Facebook or later on YouTube or, 10 years from now, Lord. It's on the internet. I'm leaving it up. Thank you, Lord, for all the ways that you love us, you bless us, you guide us, and you direct us. Lord, help us to acknowledge that accidents happen, and we don't always know the intent behind things. So let us not feel like we need to be the judge, jury, and executioner. Vengeance is mine, declares the Lord, not mine, but yours. So, Lord, help us to pass that judgment to you. You know me more intimately than I know myself. And you know the person that has wronged me more intimately than I could ever know them. I can never fully understand the intent, but you can, Lord. So we lift up all judgment to you, Lord. And help us to release those judgments. And Lord, thank you for continuing to love us, bless us, direct us. Lord, help us to not compromise our morals for short-term gain. Help us to love each other. And Lord, help us to do what is right and to love mercy and to walk humbly with you, Lord. Thank you very much. All right, so that's it for today. Tomorrow, we are going to finish the book of Numbers. So I look forward to finishing the book of Numbers with you tomorrow. But for now, have a fantastic day. God bless.